we are going to kick off session 3 of the Insight-thon conference, Driving Brand Growth Through Insights. You'll be hearing from an amazing array of speakers from a diverse range of industries. To kick us off, I'm honored to introduce Joe Renkema, Global Head of Insights at IKEA. Originally from Sydney, Australia, Joe has held leadership roles at both Procter & Gamble and Redkit, working across local, regional, and global teams in Australia, Singapore, London, and Amsterdam. Since 2021, he joined IKEA's global headquarters to lead insights and analytics, where he's been instrumental in transforming the company into a data-driven, agile organization. His work supports the entire IKEA value chain, from long-term strategy to day-to-day operational excellence, impacting over 200,000 co-workers worldwide. Joe is also an active member of the advisory board at the Yale Center for Customer Insights since 2023, and we're especially grateful that he's joining us today from the Netherlands to share his perspectives and insights. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Joe Renkema.
I might knock you out of the bag. Thank you. Alrighty, can you hear me? Yeah. We good? Are we awake? Yeah. After lunch? Anybody's guess where I work? It's blue bag. Anybody like the blue bag? Alrighty, I have some fun toys to play with. Who doesn't like kids' toys? Even if you're 50 or 80 or whatever years old, you love kids' toys. Okay, I'm Joel, as she just introduced. I don't have to do my personal introduction because they're now, which is good. What I get to bring you in today is talking about how at IKEA we bring insights to action so that we can create a better life at home and a better IKEA, okay? As it says on the slide. But I figure I'm a university, so I can't just talk at you. We need to actually engage together as well. So she could jump around a little bit, hence the toys here. So I'm going to start with some questions. And instead of a Q&A where you ask me, I'm going to ask you, if that's okay. Just, I know you're in that post-lunch slump, and we're trying to get you up a little bit into there as well. So, and there may be an incentive for those who actually want to verbalize and get there as well. What's the first word that comes to mind when you think about IKEA? Turn to your neighbor, just together. Turn to your neighbor first and tell your neighbor. First word that comes to mind. Good. Now, before I lose you for the next 10 minutes, hold on. Super good. Now, if you want to come back to me, otherwise you'll end up in a why you love and hate IKEA conversation for the next 10 minutes. Everybody has an IKEA story. Who wants to put their hand up? What's the first word that comes to mind? Blue shirt. Good lunches. Good lunches. Cool. Fair, fair. Everybody's got to love a meatball, right? Can't really compare with a meatball. Consumers tell us this, right? Furniture, big thing. It's affordable. You have to assemble stuff, right? How many marriages are made or broken over you assembling furniture together with the Allen key that works or doesn't work, right? That is IKEA. Now, the history of IKEA, it's a little bit of a story, because a lot of people know IKEA from the outside, but they don't really know the IKEA from the inside, and I didn't know until I joined either, right? IKEA comes from very humble beginnings. It's a Swedish company. I'm assuming most know it's a Swedish company, right? A Swedish business. Started in 1943 with Ingvar Kamprad. Okay, he started selling pens and watches for a couple of years, and then eventually he started selling furniture. Built the first store in Älmhult in 1958, from memory. And Älmhult is what we call the birthplace of IKEA, the home of IKEA. It's the heart of IKEA, right? So if you've ever been to Sweden before, try to go to Älmhult. There's literally probably nothing there besides IKEA and a little bit of other. It's a brilliant place to be. Today, IKEA is not those small business anymore. We operate with 62 markets across the world, 200,000 plus coworkers, 45 billion in sales. And a fun fact, we have nearly 1 billion visits to IKEA stores every year, let alone the website on top of that as well. So a lot of people come through IKEA. It's not a small business. Yeah? It was a small business, not anymore. It's very, very big. Now, this is much I'm going to teach. Now's where the toys come in. What does IKEA stand for? And this is a hard one, so I might choose a big one to start with, but who knows what IKEA stands for? My team can't answer this. Anybody? Anybody want to have a guess? No, Jenny, not you. Nobody wants to guess?
Portability.
No, what does IKEA stand for? IKEA. Sorry, maybe I'll reframe the question. Yes? very close. It's very close. There you go. Would you like an elephant? Would you like? Can you help me pass it up to her if that's okay? Oh, I can't throw that far. Thank you. Good job. It does. Ingvar Kamprad, Elmtaroid, Agunaroid. Sorry for the Swedes in the room if there anybody is how I've messed that up. So now when you see an IKEA store, you'll always figure out the IKEA. Secondly, did IKEA invent the flat pack? I need to diversify. Sorry, you went first. Go for it. Yes? Anybody else want to have a guess? No? I'm keeping all these toys for myself to say next to you. I've got to go next to you. No. There you go. IKEA did not invent the flat pack, though, sadly. We looked at other companies. They had the flat pack, and then we expanded it like crazy. But I will give you a toy. But because you got it wrong, I'll give you a small toy and a pig, if that's okay. Can you catch the pig? There you go. For answering the question. Thank you for trying. There you go. Third and final question. Everyone knows that when you go into an IKEA store, we have a maze. It sends you down. It's like running a marathon every day. Now, what happens when we remove the maze? I have to go the other side. I'm going to go this side because I keep going that side. Anybody on this side? Pink. Sales go down. Okay. Why?
Because you don't see everything. You just go straight to what you want. Yeah.
True. We tried. We did it for about 80 stores. Customers didn't like it. Everyone complains about the maze. We take the maze away and then say, oh, please bring the maze back. They miss it. So we lost a ton of sales by doing it. You're completely right. Toy, because you haven't got that right. Here. Would you like an octopus? Can I throw it to you? That's okay. I'm testing my football skills. There you go. Sorry. Alrighty. That's the end of my quizzes. I should actually present something as well. Okay, the IKEA vision, who we are as a company. IKEA stands to create a better everyday life for many people. That's our vision. That's our purpose. That's why we exist. Ingvar created it decades ago. Many companies now are running around trying to figure out what their vision and purpose is. A lot of speakers today have spoken about how companies lose their way. They have to go back to, yes, but why do you exist? We have it. We've had it for generations. We've had it for decades. It's there. It's rooted in who we are. And we have a very clear business idea that we work with as well. The insights function, I get the joy of working the insights function within IKEA with my amazing team. We're there basically to make sure that IKEA does amazing things. We grow and we're very competitive, right? The world is changing. The world is changing fast. Challenges are happening. So our job is to make sure we're competitive. We frame it in this last sentence here, which is really to create a better life at home every day. A better IKEA, because we can't create a better everyday life if we don't have a better company and vice versa. So they work hand in hand. But we want to do it in the eyes of the many people, right? I kind of I'm not too bothered if the technical guys say that our furniture is a little bit better. I care if consumers say we're better, right? Because that's what's meaningful. That's what's tangible. If we don't sell any products, IKEA doesn't exist anymore, right? And then we don't get these little moments of joy, right? We need better products, therefore it needs to be in the eyes of consumers. But if we look at over the last couple of years, and all of us as consumers or anybody working in this industry knows that we've faced a lot of challenge, right? There's so much change happened. And I think every day in life, in work, you're looking at all this volatility around you, right? Whether it's political, economic, technological, societal, whatever it may be, there's so much challenge around there. One of the things I love about the insights industry is when these challenging times happen, it becomes so important to really figure out what's happening and why and where you need to go, right? At the same time, with the world changing, businesses are struggling. Here we go. It's nearly every week that I see articles around companies cutting lots of people, reorganizing, realizing we're unhealthy, we need to reorganize, we need to set ourselves up better because they're challenged. Businesses aren't working very well. It's nearly every week I see CEOs being let down, challenges happening, right? There's a few conversations that have happened today with CMOs, CEOs, some of the toughest jobs in the world. I have so much empathy for C-suite, right? But yes, it's a glamorous position as a C-suite. You have that C at the beginning of your title. But honestly, your tenure is ridiculously challenged, right? It is not an easy job to have whatsoever. So there's so much empathy and sympathy for the roles that they have, and especially now with all the volatility as well. Typically, CEOs come in and out, share prices come up and down. Not the greatest sort of thing, if you want to. Then, at the same time, we see, and I couldn't do this presentation without having a slide from the US and what's happening now with consumer sentiment, right? We know it's going all over the place. We know what's happening, and I'm preaching to the choir in here as well. In the uncertain times that we have, the need for insights is critical. You cannot operate without insights, right? It's like trying to drive a car with a blindfold on. How do you do it? You can't go forward. But I pose a question to you. I don't have a toy for this question, but I'm going to pose it there anyway. Are insights a competitive advantage for a company? Who thinks yes? Who thinks no? Now it's an opinion, and it's my opinion, but I'm with the no's. Now, might be a bit controversial running insights at a big company and not believing that my function is a competitive advantage. But I honestly don't think it is. Everyone uses Kantar, everyone uses Nielsen, everyone gets social listening data, everyone's talking to the same consumers, everyone's concept testing, everyone's advertising testing. We're all doing the same stuff, right? The insights that you have are not unique. I'm sorry to say. I've worked across multiple companies now, Procter, Reckitt, IKEA, etc. No matter where I go, the insights are similar. They're the same. I talk to my industry friends. We're all looking at the same stuff, right? But as the brilliant, intelligent Vanessa just says, it's about how we turn the insights into action that creates a competitive advantage. Not the insight itself, it's the application of that turns it into the competitive advantage. And that's where it can be a real source. Now, can you operate a company without insights? I don't think so. Good luck trying, right? Having them is the start. Using them and applying them, whether it's in fast or in brilliant ways, is what makes a big difference. Especially if the insights are aligned to the strategic choices they make as a company, right? If IKEA wants to be a car manufacturer or a home furnishing company, if we want to be luxury or if we want to be value for money, if we want to be Swedish or American, those big strategic choices can dictate the path, which can make a competitive advantage. It's differentiation, as someone was talking about today, right? If your insights really align into that, then you can accelerate and drive competitive advantage very, very well. Now, when I joined IKEA, about 3 days into joining, I received this letter from one of the guys in my team. And it's in Swedish, so I'm assuming none of you can read it, but that's fine. This is a letter that they found in Ingvar's house just after he passed away. And if you imagine this, in the last moments of Ingvar Kamprad, right, creating this company, he writes a letter, and the letter basically is saying, if I summarize it, we've built all these amazing things, but to move forward, we need to work together, take care of my 3 sons, they're going to help us to move the company forward, right? So it's like a sentiment letter. But this big paragraph here, the 4th paragraph, is this. What I've been longing for most over the last 10 years is decisiveness and simplicity and the return of common sense. I myself have never believed in the curves and bars of statistics or rigid market research. They're only a tiny little part of the whole truth, and they're often the big enemies of decisiveness. So I joined this company 3 days after joining Procter, to run insights, and then go, is it too late to turn back? What do I do? But I reflected. A good IKEA person reflects. I reflected, and he was 100% right. Fully with him. When market research limits decisiveness, simplicity, when it becomes about bars and statistics, we're doing it all wrong, right? It becomes so much theory that it's not about the so what, the why, so what do we do and how do we move forward? And Ingvar was completely right. There's so many forums that happen now, even actually a forum 2 weeks ago with our group management. They're like, Joel, can you come represent? And I said, no. Why? Because I didn't think I was going to bring something that was going to drive a new action or a decision. It was just presenting slides just because we had to tick the market research box. I'm not doing it. I will come if we're going to drive a new action and drive a difference, right? Insights has to be an enabler for that, and it needs to drive an action, not there just for the sake of ticking a box. So how we look at insights at IKEA, and how we define it, if you want to put a textbook to it, is that it's a profound and accurate understanding of what has or what might happen that inspires and guides people to making better decisions, right? It gets underneath. It's not just knowledge, right? It's a greater level that actually drives action as a result. It's profound, and it inspires. So then how at IKEA do we use insights to navigate the path forward in our unique way? Well, if you remember our vision to create a better everyday life for the many people, underneath that, if you think about it, is better everyday life, right? So what we term under there is life at home. And I'll use those words life at home quite a bit in here. It might be like internal lingo, but essentially, how do you live at your home? How do we make sure that if we want you to have a better life, we believe that a lot of that starts with your home life, right? If things aren't going well at home, then everything else is probably going to start falling apart as well. And if we're a home furnishing company that provides furniture for the entirety of the home, we have a relatively big role to play within that as well. But that dictates how we look at things, right? What is this? A chair, most common. We see it as a place to store all of your stuff when you have nowhere else to put it. We see it as a place that you can sit at for dinner that looks really nice. We see it as a place when you need to reach up super high and you need something to stand on. You can look at it as a chair, right? Walmart looks at it as a chair. Our competitors look at it as a chair. We look at it as, how do you use it? This is old school kind of jobs to be done, right? What are you trying to do? And therefore, how do you give you the solution for that? And that's also, by the way, where things like value for money come in. Because I don't need to sell you 6 chairs. I'll sell you one for 6 purposes, right? I'm creating value for money and a relationship with you because I care about you and what your situation is as well. Which means that we need to understand not just what the chair is, but what are all these moments, right? To actually get there to make a difference. Now for us, what I boil this down to, and there's probably more than this, but I boiled it down to 5 different ways that I think as IKEA, we turn insights into a competitive advantage, right? And that's really for the strategic choice. And how do we help IKEA to get better? The first one is this. It's central to our vision. Yeah? Again, like people talked about today. What is the purpose in it, what you're trying to achieve? If I go get a bunch of insights about the car industry, how's that going to help me here? If I have a bunch of insights about how people watch TV, how's that going to help me develop better furniture? It's got to be aligned to your strategic vision as a company. It's got to accelerate and fuel. Like a few people have said today, what does your CEO really care about, right? And if it aligns to that, because insights can do anything, absolutely anything, but if it's aligned to that strategic vision, you're in a good place. We say in our long-term direction, we have an internal document called the direction, which guides us to 2030 and beyond, which says that it is the unique opportunity for us, right? It's what different for a meaning is. It's what creates differentiation from us versus other companies. Again, other companies can try to design a great chair. Good luck to them. We're designing a solution to your problems, right? That would transcend that in different ways. Second thing is that we embed it across the whole value chain. Now, one of the things about IKEA is that we're a system that has retail all the way through the forest, right? So literally, we own forests. And we own stores, we own everything, and a lot of things all the way in between, which is very unique for a company. A lot of companies sell to a retailer or operate part. We operate the entirety through. That means that when you're creating insights, you can create them at one part and carry them all the way through. So the beauty of our team in Insights is we have insights people in our team sitting in logistics and supply chain, through to media creation, through to range innovation, strategic choices, and so forth. So that when you create an insight, it's flowing all the way through. You're building a holistic solution, and consumers get a holistic solution, and your business isn't going in 6 different directions. Because it's so frustrating in a company when you have 3 different insights people with 3 different insights. And then the business is like, can you please just get your act together? What do I do? Where do I go? So we can bring that together and we move it forward. It also, when we look at insights, we look at from the long-term strategy, right? 2030 and beyond, through to today. So for example, we look at what homes will be like in 10 years from now. How do we predict the future of home? How do we predict people are going to live? And like somebody said this morning, how do we want people to live? And how do we want people to go into the future as well? And how do we help people have the homes that they need and deserve in the future as well? Goes into our midterm, right? Into our strategies that we have. Goes into our short term when we focus on different areas and if we unite the business. So for example, right now we're looking, the focus for this year, and you'll see it outside, is we're trying to help people sleep better. That's the thing. So 220,000 people in IKEA are focused on how to help people sleep better. We could do cooking, eating, storing, organizing, all these different things, but we focus and unite around there. And then through to the day-to-day. If anybody knows, when you walk into a store, we sell a global range, right? We sell that yellow chair in many countries. But when you walk into a store, you have the store layouts. You guys have been into an IKEA store, right? Yes, hopefully. Cool, and you made it out. You're here, you're good. There's different store layouts in there. What we do is we get our store co-workers to go into the homes of people around the store, look at how they live. I've been with them and they've done this. They take the measuring tapes, they measure the bedrooms, they measure the living rooms, everything, go back into the store and then recreate it. And then put the yellow chair in there because then it's relevant to you. So then it goes from how we want homes to be 10, 15, 20 years from now into today when you go into a store and what it looks like. The third thing then is how we harness data and technology. Data and technology, I believe, it can be fantastic or horrible, right? It's like fuel on the fire in different ways. We use it as an accelerator and as a unifier. Now, one of the beauties about IKEA is we have so much data. When you operate as a supply chain all the way through to a retail chain, you have almost too much data, right, to do things with, and that can be fantastic or paralyzing in a way. For us to create a better everyday life at home, we need to know what life at home is really about. So what we do, as I said, if we have a bit of a flywheel effect here for creating insight. Firstly, as I said a minute ago, all our store co-workers across the 62 countries within all the different stores, or 480 stores, whatever we have now, go out into the areas, do in-home research themselves. We don't employ agencies to do it for us. Our store co-workers go into the homes themselves. They collect all of those insights. They then put it into a tool, which is called Open Home, and I'll show you that in a second. They put it into a tool, they capture it. Then all of our product designers sit in Älmhult in Sweden, right? And when you sit in Sweden, it's hard to understand Shanghai, Delhi, etc., right? But they go into the tool, they can access anything from anywhere around the world, they can create products, we launch it, we get the insight, and that flywheel operates, right? So we're connecting the value chain, what the store co-workers see, our range developers see, and it kind of flips around like that in harnessing. And data and technology helps us to do that. Let me show you a little bit about that tool that's in here. I think this plays, do I need to press a button? Oh, nope. Can you guys help me press, if that's okay? There we go. And I'm like, okay, so this is Open Home. This is our tool that we created. As you can see, all the photos from different people around the world that have uploaded them. We look into different insights that people have. We look into commonalities such as sharing toys. How do people do it in different parts of the world? What does it actually look like? If you look at colors, how our products are used in different parts of the world so we really understand. And we can look into the specific areas. What's the point of interest? What are people frustrated by? What do they love? And where do they want to go? Then if you look deeper, right, we can then filter all of that. Underneath is a ton of data in terms of how big is your home, are you renting, owning, what is it like, and so forth, right? Collect everything within here, and as you can see here, from China to many, many different markets, Sweden, etc. And even that in itself, you can see different homes and what they're like. And then if we explore deeper, again, different filters, right? What type of home are you living in? What's the income that the family has? What's their favorite spot in the house? What area of the home do you want to look at? What products are there? Activities and so forth, right? Then we can cut it there if you guys want to, if we move to there. So basically what it's saying is we bring all of that. Imagine the amount of data underneath there. We've launched it 2 years ago. It's now being used in 35 countries. We've got 3,000 home visits in there so far. 5,000 people have used it, and nearly 150,000 photos in there. So if you're a data geek or an AI type of geek in here, basically you love having a ton of data and a ton of things in there that you can play with, right? We're just beginning with what we can possibly do in there. The fourth is then competence building across the organization. Now, we have a saying where we say capability cannot go without competence. Has to go hand in hand together. We will never deploy a capability without actually deploying competence for that as well. There's two parts to this. Firstly is how do we help our insights co-workers to understand the business better? And then secondly, how do we help the business to understand insights better? Those two things have to go hand in hand. It can't just be one or the other, okay? For us, for insights, for training coworkers, the many, and remember we have 220,000 coworkers, right? And every day they're making decisions in the store where they're interacting with you as the customer, right? So they have to make decisions all the time. Firstly, looking at competence for the many, so creating e-learning solutions that anybody can access and do, so we uplift some basic level of competence on insights. Secondly, running deep diving trainings in important parts of the business. And then third is starting to do things we're working on with Yale now around really driving behavioral science in. Because if you think about life at home, there's one thing to develop a chair, but I need to also influence your behavior to do it in the right way to therefore get a better life at home. So it's fundamental and critical in there as well. And then secondly, upskilling insights coworkers on the business. We have programs every day where every coworker has to go and spend 3 days in the store. You have to work like a store coworker. You have to understand what it's like to lift boxes and push shelves together, right, and interact with customers. So little photos of our store. I took all of our team to some factories in in Poland a couple of months ago, where you can see trees come in and furniture come out, right? Really understand what that is. Now, why is that important? We can generate insight, but if we don't understand how people are going to use it in the context that they're in, then it's dead. It's gone. Okay? Fifth then is creating empathy to inspire action. Right? People make decisions based on emotion. We all know this as marketeers in a way, right? Consumers make decisions based on emotion. Our business stakeholders are no different, right? Yes, his title might be CEO, but he's a husband with kids that's gone through this, that's doing that. He's a human being. He makes decisions based on emotion, just like our consumers make decisions based on emotion. So we need to use it to be able to drive. Now, what I'm going to do, I have a couple of minutes here. I'm going to show you a video, right? It's a couple of minutes, but just to show you some of the insights that we use to bring it to life a little bit. Every year, in the middle of the year, we gather a couple of hundred of our leaders in Sweden. We kick off the strategy cycle for the year, where we say, what are we going to do in the next 3 years? I get up on stage with my finance counterpart, and we talk about the world around us. The brief usually is, tell us about the world. Okay, cool. What do you want to know? And we tell them about the world. But what I wanted to start doing every year is bringing consumers into that meeting. And so what I decided to do now every year is I send a film crew to a couple of countries around the world. I give them the brief and basically say, don't ask anything about IKEA. Just understand people's life. What are they going through? What do we need to know about? So this is the video that I showed our leadership basically 2 years ago.
I used to just like work to play basically. I was always partying and just adventure seeker. Then COVID happened, really hard pregnancy, struggled with it, not just physically but emotionally because I actually never wanted children. I went through depression and all that. It's intense in every way. So intense in the hard times. There's times where I have to run to the restroom and just scream and cry because I'm scared I'm not doing all that I can. I have to play both roles. But then it's intense also in the moments of joy. Being single and trying to be conscious about the environment, super simple. Being a mom, it's really expensive and with toddlers, so I have to make sure whatever I'm buying for our lifestyle at that moment is something that I can use long term. Unfortunately, when I'm looking for things for the house that are more eco-friendly, it's just not the right price point for us. Climate concerns, hottest summer in Texas for 7 years. My sister was a big victim of Hurricane Harvey. Like, it's scary seeing all these natural disasters that are happening. And then we just wonder what we can do to help.
Ik denk dat mijn grootste uitdaging op het moment toch wel echt een financiële uitdaging is. Op een gegeven moment houdt het geld ook wel een beetje op. Dus het is een beetje een race against the clock om op tijd mijn inkomen hoog genoeg te krijgen. Dus er is best wel een tekort aan affordable housing. Vandaar ook dat ik vrij klein woon en alsnog wat mij betreft best wel veel geld betaal voor die ruimte. Ik geloof heel erg in de mind-body connection. Dus als je het hebt over hoe hou je je mentale gezondheid een beetje op peil, dan hou ik er erg van om te sporten. Dat doe ik ook erg veel. En daarnaast voor een stukje discipline en om af en toe wat meer in het lichaam te komen. Ik heb nogal de neiging om gewoon hierboven in mijn hoofd te blijven en daar een beetje te zitten. En wat minder te piekeren. Hou ik er heel erg van om koude douches te nemen. Niet iedereen's ding, moet ik zeggen. Maar ik vind zelf dat het heel erg helpt om wat meer in mijn lichaam te komen en de discipline te kweken. Omdat ik qua vierkante meters nogal beperkt ben, heb ik best wel veel multipurpose furniture. Dus het is wel lastig om een scheiding te houden tussen work, pleasure, dining, working, al die dingen. Maar ik denk dat de manier waarop ik het nu gedaan heb, dat het wel goed mogelijk maakt.
Yung Filipino culture kasi natin, talagang we love taking care of not just our own kids, extended families tayo di ba? Kahit ang hirap, we still do it My adopted son, the younger one, si Ernie, it was actually during the pandemic that he was diagnosed with brain cancer. Together with the difficulty of going through the pandemic, our family had to take care of a very sick child. But in this small home, there's one room where he stayed. So we had pictures of his siblings on the wall. So lagi niyang titingnan yon every day. That's a very special place for us kasi that was the last month of his life. Everybody gathered there all the time. You want to just be with your family. You want to be at home. You want to see your kids. You want to see your husband. Kahit na minsan, tutusin, mas magulo sa bahay eh. But okay yun sa akin. I find peace in that. I like coming home to my family.
So for us, when we look at business, it's not just about selling furniture, right? It's about the real moments that matter, and it's about caring about the bigger area. So now, if I summarize that down into 5 things. Firstly, insights must serve the company purpose. Very specific to the company purpose and what it needs to achieve. Secondly, they must connect the dots across the value chain. You can't generate insights in all other places because the company will move in many, many different directions. Third, data and technology, if done well, can be an accelerator and a unifier of the organization moving in the same direction together as well. Fourth, insights people must understand the business, or you won't have credibility or actionability. And stakeholders must understand insights, otherwise they won't know what to do with it. And the last, empathy counts, right? The common phrase that I'm using these days is empathetic marketers create empathetic marketing. Consumers engage with empathetic marketing. So if my marketeer is not empathetic, that whole thing is broken down. So how do I inspire? Now, why is all of this important? Ultimately, when we do it well, we can make a difference. We can make a difference, not just to the company, but also to consumers' lives at home every day as well. It's fundamental. If we look at some examples, right? IKEA children, for those that have bought children's products from IKEA, for the half of you in here that have kids, right? We looked at it and said the most important people in the world are families with young kids, right? Critical life stages at that point. So we invested, we built a whole children's business, right? But insights needs to underpin how we actually design the furniture. If I take an example here, it's a chair. Have anybody seen this chair before in the store? Yeah. Does anybody remember when they were a kid, or whatever age, when your dad or your mum used to have like the big leather chair, office chair, and you'd spin around in circles and be really fun. Your parents would be like, don't break the chair and get out of my office. Same insight, but we thought, let's make a chair out of it for kids so they can do it with permission. They can be free to spin and have fun and be joyful in that. Kids need joy. Kids don't need to be worried about politics and economy and all that kind of stuff. Kids just need to have fun, right? So how do we do that through the little means that we have? Secondly, how do we make things more affordable, right? 4 billion people can afford home furnishing, but only 2 billion can actually afford IKEA. We have a big room to go in making things affordable. So we decided to create a project where we said, how do we start with consumers in mind? True affordability. Designed a brief for it. Designed a whole new range. We then straight away became our top seller. Why? Because it started with the consumer insight, and consumer was there the whole journey all the way through. Finally, thirdly here, sleep, right? Who loves sleep? Who doesn't get enough sleep? Who wishes they would have more sleep, right? The facts are, on average, we miss about an hour and 20 minutes a night based on what you want versus what you get. And more than half of people say they have poor quality sleep. It's something damaging. And then I've worked on Pampers before. The importance of sleep on brain development is critical. If you're not getting that, your kids are not getting that, it's drastic, right? Yes, it makes me feel better, but it's also so deeper as well. So that's why this year we focus on sleep dramatically. And it's not just about creating bed solutions, but it's also about creating a movement and helping educate people on sleep as well. We created a bed for Poland. Poland specifically, more than half of Polish people sleep on a sofa bed every night. It's their main bed. Americans don't. Americans sleep in their normal bed, right? A little bit on the sofa here and there. More than half, 60% of Polish people sleep on their sofa bed every single night. So in Poland, instead of creating a sofa bed that was the chair, by the way, it's a sofa, we created a bed that, by the way, is a chair, right? Because that's where they're going to sleep. Therefore, they need the actual development and the comfort behind there as well. Now, the way that we see it at IKEA, and I'll finish on two more slides here, because my red light is on. We see it as IKEA as our responsibility to help with life at home, but our responsibility to help with life at home. We cannot do it alone. We will not do it alone. We think insights are fantastic, but they're not the competitive advantage. What you do about it is. Which is why, if you see here, these 3 things here, every year, every couple of months, we release our insights, right? If you look on LinkedIn, or if you go on my LinkedIn, or go on the website, whatever it may be, you'll find these different reports, which is all the insights we have around play, sleep, etc. Because again, it's not the insight that makes a difference, it's what you do with it. So I'm happy if more companies have them so they can also help people sleep better as well. so we need to do it together. The final slide here, I'll finish with an Ingvar quote, where yes, our businesses are challenged. Yes, they're in challenging places, right? And we need to focus on the P&L and get them back. But at the end of the day, as Ingvar said here, we've decided once and for all to side with the many. Because what's good for our customers is also good for us in the long run. Yeah? Don't chase the money, chase the consumer. Do what's right for them, because if they do, then everything will flow from there. And with that, thank you.